Good morning, everyone. Today we are working with the hips, and we'll do the same last week. I thought I would go into the psoas a bit today, the hip flexors, through some lunge work. This area often gets tight through emotional tension. It's an area where we grip. It also grips when our physical body is not stable. So there's an instability in the back or in the hips. That area tends to grip. We often are weaker in our outer hips and inner hips, the abductors and adductors. So we'll always work with that as well. Okay. All right. So welcome to a sunny morning in Garden Bay. Find your place, and if you could have a chair, that would be great. And alternatively, you could work with two hard blocks if you prefer, and always great to have a wall. I'm just going to make sure that you can see the floor okay. I know you can always see a lot more than I can in my screen, so I think that's good. All right, so just finding your Tadasana, your place this morning. And hopefully some of you are starting to get out gardening or walking more, hiking more as the weather brightens. Inhale, opening the heart center, and exhale, bending the knees, feeling the feet. Now, you can put your feet hip width apart or together. See which feels better for you. Inhale, open. And exhale, make a ha sound. As you do this, you can round the spine. It's like a standing cat-cow. It's a gentle opening and settling. And knees tracking over second toes. If you look down, just have a look at that. That's a physiotherapy cue that I've learned from my colleagues in that world. And it's just for safety. Tracking of the knees. We're still working with legs and feet, even as we move into the hips. Let's add some sound, humming. Maybe bring the arms higher. Every time you do that, see if you can feel the bottoms of the feet. You might feel a bit of a wobbling in the hips back and forth as they settle through this alignment. It's a great way to balance the hips, this bending of the knees into a mini squat. We're going to add an om, and you can change the height of the arms if you like, your choice. Just notice how your neck feels. Om. Do any of these sounds, the ha, the humming, or the om. And just finishing up. And if you're ready, or if you choose, you can take a soft block or small pillow and put it between your thighs. And this can really help us wake up those inner thighs or those adductors. They go in. Quite a different feeling. In classical yoga, directing the attention to an area of the body is called nyasam. We often do it with our fingers in class. And you can do it by touching with your hands, but you can also use a prop. So it just helps direct the mind to that part of the body. So just notice that difference with that block and squeeze in and place it anywhere that's comfortable. And if it's not comfortable, feel free to get rid of it. So I like a soft block for this one so I can squeeze in. We're gonna start coming up onto the toes if that's comfortable, and you'll feel the glutes, the back of the hips. And today I thought I might try to work with those as well, because it's an area, just try to find more and more ways to strengthen the hips, not just open them. A lot of yoga practices that work with hips, they work on hip openers, which are great, but they're not necessarily the most functional for our everyday health and wellness. So how can we strengthen everything around the hips? And then stretch the hip flexors and open the hips to comfort. So we're not forcing ourselves into lotus pose or any of those poses you see yogis do. They can be quite hard on the body, those poses, and they can cause hip injuries and also knee injuries. So you have to be really careful. So this can be a little challenging. When you're ready, just stay in the full position. And breathe or keep it moving. You don't have to be on the heels, up on the toes rather. Notice even in this position, are you more on one toe, one foot more than the other? So for example, I can feel my weight more in my right leg than my left. It's the beginning of the practice, so that's normal for me. And then within about 10 minutes of the practice, I start to feel it shift. I can feel both feet more. So if you have one side that doesn't work as well as the other, that will be a common experience. Let's do some side bends, keeping this block. Inhale, arms coming up, palms together, interlocked fingers or arms crossed or hands at the side, any height that's comfortable for you. I'm going to do palms together today. Inhale, extend nice and long. Exhale, coming to the side. If you have a wall behind you, it'd be really nice to work with a wall. Now, can you stick your hip out? So we're focusing on the hips today. Can you stick the opposite hip out and stretch into that whole area that often gets tight and can cause lower back pain and even can cause back spasms if you don't work with stretching that out. So as we age, everything starts to compress a bit. The effects of gravity. One of the effects of aging is we feel gravity in our bodies a bit more. So lots of focus on creating space or sukham in the body. And again, yeah, good to see modifications of the arms. The arms can be anywhere that's comfortable for your neck and shoulders. Now we're going to stay in the position, and for this one, I'm going to get you to release that block. And the same side you're coming to, you're going to cross that foot over. So it looks like for you that I'm on my left, and the left foot coming over the right. And see if you can get deeper into the hip now, and you might want to change the crossing of your arms. And breathe here. You know you're really tight In this upper part of the body, you can hold the wrist or the hand and get into the rib cage as well. So focus your mind on the hip. Try to breathe slowly and smoothly. Dirga Sukshma. Slow, smooth, subtle breath. Release. And let's go to the other side. You probably need a break on those arms. Crossing the other way. So I'm going to your right. And oh, sorry. And I'm going to put the right foot over. So you can put the opposite foot, but you'll probably go a bit more deeply if you do the same leg over as the side you're on. And you can probably focus on your hip. Quadratus lumborum. Maybe even into the IT band. Can you slow the breath down and come out of it? All right, let's just do a test where we're at in our hip balance. Inhale, arms to the sides, and exhale, bend your knees quite a bit. Imagine you're hugging a tree and feel those feet. Can you feel both of them? Now, if this is hard for you, you could bring your hands to a chair as you do that exhale. So that's a nice modification. It's just bringing the hands to a chair or a table. Might be able to go down a little further if you do that. You can also bring your hands to a wall. Or just rounding the spine, hugging that tree. And if you are in North America or actually anywhere around the world where you know you're on indigenous lands, you could at this point pay homage to the fact that you are living on lands that settlers came to. And you get to enjoy that land, playing, working, living. And the privilege we have of even being able to take the time to do practices like this. This is quite a privileged thing for all of us to have this opportunity to work on connecting to the spirit, the self, by training the mind to be still. When you're ready, finishing up. We've been doing a lot of arm work as well, so probably your arms are a little tired. This time of year, usually my students starts complaining about their arm muscles, so I did think I might do a little bit with that today because we want to take off some layers, and usually people want to work on their arms a bit. All right, so notice how you feel when you close your eyes, feel your feet. Now, can you feel that side that maybe wasn't working as well? Left or right leg. Can you feel your weight has shifted over even maybe a bit more to that side now as it wakes up? The muscles wake up. And knowing this is going to help you throughout your day now with walking more evenly, standing more evenly, more symmetrically. All right, we're going to move into those hip flexors. We're going to start gently with warrior. and you might decide just to do this rather than the full lunge. You're going to bring one foot forward, the other back. You could use the yoga mat if you prefer. So if you're using a chair or a bench, just find a place when you come forward that feels comfortable. So harder is further away from the bench, something like this. And easier is closer to it and with the head on it. You can also use those hard blocks in the high or low position, high, medium, or low. And you can work with those. Okay, so we're going to do warrior into forward bend. I'm going to put my left foot forward first. I encourage you to start with your easy side. If you don't know what that is, just do the left forward first. Inhale, we're going to bring our arms to the side. Seems to be a theme today, so I'm going to go with it. We do a bit of neck and shoulders. Inhale, opening. Exhale, forward bend. Hands on the chair, block, or could be the floor. And inhale, opening. Bending the knee over the ankle, second toe as you inhale, exhale. Keeping that leg bent or starting to straighten if you can. Hands could go to the floor. Just pick your medicine. And any speed you want. So it's just very gently warming up the legs, the hips, the lower back, upper back, whole body. That back hip is opening. If you go deeper into the pose, you'll have more of a stretch in that back. So as try to root the little toe side of the foot down in that warrior. Draw the belly in as you exhale. Lower belly to belly button. Inhale, chest to belly. Exhale, belly to chest. And just finishing up. Exhale, release, switch sides. Just doing it 4 to 8 times, depending on the speed of your breath. So I'm not counting because you're all doing it at different times. So just do it at your own pace, your own way. Inhale, opening, keeping that back foot, the little toe side down, turning the foot out, heel to heel alignment or wider with your legs. Again, you can have your forehead coming to the chair, that front knee can be bent, your hands can be at the floor or on blocks, your choice. I'm just going to show it with the head on the chair this time. And I've got a yoga mat on my bench just to make it a little more comfortable and safe. And I like to put the chair against a wall again for safety. So stretching into that front leg. If your hamstrings are tight, tight hamstrings can throw the lower back out. Change the position of the pelvis, the hips. So always good to stretch those hamstrings. You also want your hamstrings and your glutes to be strong. So you want the back of the legs also strong. So yoga, we always want everything both soft, flexible, as well as strong. A lot of people don't know that about yoga, the strong part, but it's equally important as the soft part. And when you feel ready, just finishing up. Exhale, release. Just notice how you feel. Just take a moment, let your breath settle. Can you feel the bottoms of your feet? Okay, we're going to start into those lunges. So we're just going to start with one foot back, doesn't matter which one. Start with your easy side. So I've got my right foot back because my left hip is more my problem side. So I've got my right leg back, but you feel free to do this for yourself. My hands are on the chair and I'm in a lunge. And if you can, you're going to exhale, bend that back knee. Now, this hurts your knee. You can take your soft block and put it under that knee, or a pillow, or a blanket. Inhale, straighten the back leg, and exhale, bend it. And I'm also going to release the neck and shoulders as I exhale. And you can bring the knee, the front knee forward towards the toes a bit. So it doesn't need to be stacked. You don't want it to go beyond the toes, but it can go forward. Inhale, extend, and if you can, come up on the back toes. Exhale, release. Now you can do this holding a countertop, table. You can have your hands on blocks, any prop, or just on the floor. You might be ready for that. So this is about flexibility, a little bit about strength and balance. So if you've got some wrist issues, you play with having your forearms on that chair, just so that there's no strain on the wrists. And coming out of it can be a little tough. Do your best. If you can go into a chair down dog. And in this position, inhale, look up. Exhale, bend the knees, round the spine, track the knees out towards the little toes. This is neck and shoulders, lower back. Inhale, looking forward. Exhale, rooting back. Or if this is hurting your wrist, just do a standing forward bend. We're going to go to the other side. So I've got my right foot forward, left leg back, but you might be the opposite. You can find that block or pillow under the knee for comfort. Just finding your full lunge. And again, you can have the knee coming forward towards the toes and release down. Inhale, tucking the toes under the back foot and coming up if you can. And I'm pressing away. I've got my chair at the wall so I can press with my hands away a little bit. Get a bit deeper. Exhale, release. Just do this in your own timing. So during this COVID world, a lot of us are sitting more than usual at computers. A lot more neck and shoulder injuries these days, but also the hip flexors, I find that a lot of people right now are quite tight from all the sitting. So if you do sit quite a bit, try to do something like this once a day as a yoga break, just this. Inhale, extend, lunge, exhale, release, forward bend. When you're ready, coming back into your chair, down dog. Put that block aside if you like, or just leave it for now. Just stay there. If you like, you can add a whole upward facing dog, but modification, just look up and down. Or if your wrists are really hurting in this position, go into a forward bend. I'm going to show an up dog. This will not be for everyone in the room. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, rooting back. Inhale, up on the toes. Draw the hips, pelvis forward. Stretching both sides of the hips, front of the hips at a time. Exhale, back. Bending my knees as I do that exhale movement to decompress the lower back more. As I inhale, I'm looking away from the chair and up. I'm holding the sides of the table, chair, stool, because that's easier on my wrists. The opposite might be true. You can have your hands flat. You could also be using blocks. If you're doing that, I would use a mat. So you will probably slip if you don't. So yoga mat's really important for those kinds of poses. And just finishing up. Walking forward. Forward bend. Just rest for a minute. Let the breath slow down. Hands can be down if you prefer, or on the stool, chair, bench. And when you're ready, coming up, we'll put that soft block to the side. All right, we're going to go into strength and flexibility. And some of you know this from the past. This is a little bit challenging. Okay. So let me show this front and then side. And you can also, I will show a modification actually to begin with. I'm going to show with the chair. So lunging front first, we'll try. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bring one foot forward, hands on the chair, and bend the knee down. Inhale, coming back and arms up. Exhale, other foot forward, lunge down. Now you can do this without the bench, which is harder. And you don't have to step as far forward, and you can get rid of the arms if that's too much. This is a lot of work, so do the best you can. If you use something higher, it can be even easier. I'm just going to show with that. So you can use, and you don't have to bend your back knee as much. You can bend just a little bit. So this might be more possible for you right now. Just using a couch or a table. So trying to find which one you want to do. I'm going to show the full thing. Exhale down, inhale up, exhale down, inhale up. Don't overdo it. If your body's saying this does not feel safe, I'm going to pay for this later, back off and work with one of the props. Or go back to the earlier position where you're just stretching the hip using the chair or the table. And again, table much easier, and you don't have to bend that knee very much. Or you can just stay and breathe here. So this builds strength and flexibility. I know some of you really don't like this, but it's good for you. It's one of those poses good for you, but can be tough. Okay, release. Also gets our heart rate up a bit. Just let the heart rate slow down. Now, can you step back? Okay, so this will be reminiscent of what we did before. I'm going to show with the bench first. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, step back. Inhale up. You'll probably find this easier than what we just did. Exhale, back. You can do that with a table. And you can even just keep holding the table or the countertop. Kitchen countertops are a great prop. Or if you want more challenge, you can do it without anything. Inhale, arms up, exhale, back. You could have some blocks ready to go. Landing pads as well. I'm just going to show that for fun. You have to be quite exact in your movements so you don't knock the blocks over, but you can try that as well. And you're probably getting warm. It's just another one that I would do a few times a week for strength and flexibility of the hips. This one's been quite a game changer for my own hips. It is exercise I learned from a physio that I yogified. The lunge is a classical yoga move, and the full Tadasana here is a classical yoga move. So just finishing up, probably pretty warm. Whew, let your breath slow down. Now the last stage of this is doing front and back. So I'm just going to show that for those who want to do it. You might have had enough and you just want to stretch your hips or do a forward bend at this time, okay? So I'm going to show with the chair. Inhale, arms up. So the front one, you have to be a little bit far ahead. Exhale, front. Inhale, center. Exhale, back. Make sure you've got room. Don't hit your wall like I just did. And then you can go to the other side. Just going side to side, or you can do one side 6 to 8 times, and then the other side. So I'm always moving with the same leg, front and back. Again, if you've had enough, just do a forward bend. Stretch the hip in the lunge. Do one of the earlier practices if you've had enough. So this is working on flexibility and strength, finishing up. And the heart rate does go up during that one. Just resting now. And I'm going to take off a layer because that was a lot of work. So you might be feeling a little warm, which is kind of nice as spring gets closer to summer. Bend your knees, hug that tree, or hold the chair and notice where your weight is on your feet. Is it on both feet fairly evenly now, or is it on one foot more than the other? Knees tracking over second toes. Your hips don't feel stable and strong, which I learned through a 2-year experience I had of having a hip injury. It was very disempowering. It was feeling like I could fall easily. I felt very old for the first time in my life. And it was so encouraging through the practices of both physiotherapy and then yoga. I yogified all the physio stuff I learned to again feel pain-free and strong. And just knowing it's something I have to keep working on now as I age. That imbalance is a little more obvious with age. So that's it. So I wish that for all of you who have pain, instability in the hips, that you can use these practices to heal. When you're ready, finishing up. And again, there's often an emotional layer, a feeling of lack of safety when there's stuff going on in the hips. So counseling can be very helpful. Working with a psychologist, psychiatrist, someone help you see if your body is actually telling you something. Am I holding on to something from my past in this area? Sometimes yoga, just step by step, just helps us digest that experience in non-conscious ways. Sometimes it can really help to work with a professional in that area of mind, emotions. Just noticing how you feel, maybe a little taller, a little stronger, super slouching, the shoulders up and back and down. Just notice whole body. All right, so we're going to go into some hip openers now in a very gentle way. We're going to work with strength and flexibility. We've done this one before. This one's right from Chennai, India. My teacher, Mr. Schroeder, teaches this one a lot and he gave it to me for my own practice a couple of years ago when I was having trouble with my hips. Inhale, arms coming forward in full Tadasana. Exhale, balance on one leg, whatever side feels easier. Bring that leg up, the knee is bent. Hands are halfway down, palms down. Inhale, palms up or down, opening up the hip to the side. Exhale, close to the center by contracting from the pelvic floor up to the belly button. Use the core here. Now this last part is really ingenious. It works with strengthening the back of the hip. And we're going to do this later on the floor. Inhale, extend back. Get into the back of the hip, the glute. And exhale, release. So that's a part I personally have ignored in my work with hips. So I'm going to be adding that this term. Inhale, arms coming up. I thought of it more as lower back, but it's actually working with the hips. Exhale. Bring the leg halfway up with the knee bent, arms halfway down, palms down. Pulling up on that side, you're standing, those glute knees. Inhale, opening. This is for fall resilience. This balancing on one leg. Exhale, center. Now, for me, this is my hard side. It's like, oh my goodness, that is challenging. Inhale, extend. Exhale, release. And you can bend the knees when you do that release as well. Inhale. Feel free to do this at a wall, facing a wall, if you need a bit more support or a ledge. Inhale, opening, so you could leave the hands on that ledge or countertop. Exhale, center, pelvic floor up. Inhale, extend back. Again, you can keep holding on or have the arms up. Exhale, release. Do that again with the ledge. Inhale, arms coming up if you can. Chin in, Jalandhara Bandha. Exhale, pelvic floor up. Stand on that one leg. Lift the other leg up. Inhale, open at the arms, or you have one arm, both arms. Exhale, center, or just keep holding onto the wall, ledge. Inhale, extend back, have the arms if you like. Your focus is strengthening the glutes there. Lower back, exhale, release. We're going to do a few more rounds, your own time, or with me. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, open. Exhale, center. Inhale, extend. Like bring the palms together. Exhale, release. Perhaps bend the knees. I do this with my legs together. You could be hip width apart. Inhale. You could also use the back of a chair to bring your hands to. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more rounds. Inhale. Exhale. You could keep your foot on the ground as well as you do this for more stability. Exhale, center. Inhale, extend back. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, other side. Inhale, open. Exhale, center. Inhale, extend. Exhale, release. And rest. Do one more time if you like, or just rest. Again, inhale, open the arms. Exhale, hug that tree and notice where you're at. Maybe you can go a little lower now. You can also bring your hands to that chair. So, like an Utkatasana pose, a squat. We're not going all the way down, just halfway down. Bend the knees, bring the hips back. So my weight is more on my heels. It's just like hugging a tree. My toes, I can lift them up. Each time you do this, notice your hips becoming a little bit more even. And just finishing up. Take a little rest. Feel the bottoms of your feet. Feel the weight of your pelvis, your hips, through your legs and into your feet. Where's your weight? Is it front? Is it back? Is it on one foot more than the other? See if you can even that out. This pose is called Sama-stiti, even standing pose. So the pose of homeostasis, balance, samana or sama. Okay, some forward bends, and then today we are going to do actually some work seated for opening the hips. So bringing one foot behind the other, start with your easy side in terms of flexibility. Inhale, arms coming up. Exhale, forward bend. Now you can do this with your hands coming to the chair or to blocks. Because for a lot of people, coming all the way to the floor is going to be too much. Or you can come all the way to the floor. You want to take it up a notch, interlock the fingers, and stretch both sides at a time. Now, you should be feeling a stretch in the hip, the side of the hip, maybe into the back of the foot that's back. Into the lower back as well. If you have an imbalance in your hips, they'll often translate into problems in the lower back. And I'm just gonna let someone in. Someone got booted out. Let her back in. And if it's comfortable, just stay at the bottom, hands on blocks or on the chair. Just stay here and breathe. Enjoy the semi-inversion. This lets us relax. We've done a lot of more heated, extroverted poses today, more Brahmana. Now we're going to do some Langana. We're going to let go, lighten up, release toxins of mind, body. So we start moving into deeper stretches now and some strength work. Inhale, coming up. And you're going to go to the other side. Just come out very gently. Again, you can do this with a chair or blocks. Other foot behind. Inhale, arms up. They can be front or sides. Exhale, forward bend, hands to a chair, table, blocks, floor. Inhale, arms coming up. Exhale, forward. Again, if you want to take it up a notch, you can interlock the fingers. That can help if you've got one side of your upper back that's different than the other. It can just help balance that out. Exhale down, inhale up. If there's feeling a stretch in the side of the hip of the foot that's back. Doing this 4 to 6 times, up and down. And when you feel ready, staying in the position, the hands can be on a chair, table, blocks, or on the ground. It's hard to bend the knees in this one, so if your back is not feeling comfortable or your hamstrings are too tight, the backs of your legs, please use a prop to create more space, more sukham, ease, relaxation, comfort, and safety. When you're ready, coming up very slowly, halfway. Exhale. Inhale all the way. Take it easy. You might be a little dizzy. And you should feel a sense of relaxation. The head being lower than the heart. Let's just go with the chair into a chair down dog, or you can do spinal stretch. The hands can be on the wall, the back of the chair, the seat of a chair, like I'm showing on the bench. Exhale, bend the knees. Widen those knees. Inhale, straighten. Like you can add some upper back movement. Inhale, look up. Exhale, root down, look down. Flossing of the neck. Some of you might be contraindicated. Look forward for your neck. Just be careful. And when you're ready, stepping forward. And before we sit on the chair, I'm going to do a stretch for that hip that you might enjoy. You're going to bring one foot back. You're going to bring your forearms on the chair or the bench, and you're going to try to open up that front hip by coming onto the little toe side. Now, you might want a yoga mat for your foot to make it more comfortable, but this can be a nice way of stretching in the hip. You can also bring that back knee down. You might want to have a soft block to do that. So that's another version. This is a stretch you want to do once you're quite warm. This is a stay pose. We're just staying here. This is a Western yoga pose. It's a preparation for pigeon, which is not accessible for a lot of people, and it's very useful, I found. It's too much. Just take a break, or do it without turning the hip out. You can try widening the foot as well. It might have a different and better effect for you to bring the foot wider. And just stepping the foot back and coming to your other side. Be mindful if you've got a block there that you don't trip over it. So I'm going to do it with that knee on the block. You don't have to have a block, and open that hip. You can be up on the back leg. If you want to work on strengthening that back leg, you can do it like that. Or you usually get a little deeper if you come down closer. Opening, just staying there where you could move it. Inhale, open, exhale, close. You might go down more deeply. It's a modification of pigeon, Ekapada Rajavopatasana, king pigeon pose. It's a beautiful pose, but doesn't work for everyone. We're going to do a chair version in a minute, different one. Make sure this is not going into your knee. If it is, adjust the foot, maybe make it wider. And just finishing up. And again, finding that chair down dog. Move that block. Move upper back, neck, and shoulders. You can also do up dog, down dog if you want to change it up. I'm going to lift away from the chair so your shoulders are moving away from the ears. Inhale forward, exhale back. Notice the effect of that on the lower back and hips. So tuck the tail under, scoop the hips forward, open the chest, whole front body opening. Exhale, lengthening the back body. Just resting in the down dog again, chair down dog. Of course, you can do this on the floor using blocks or not. Move the hips side to side. Stretch one side of the back hip at a time. And when you're ready, you're going to sit on that chair. I'm just going to angle my camera down now a bit. There we go. All right. So now you get to rest a little bit. So if you did take a layer off, you might want to put it back on because you will cool down now. All right, so we're going to do some deeper stretches. I'm at my chair or stool here, and I'm going to start with my easy side. I'm going to cross it over my thigh. Now, any angle is appropriate here. Knee to ankle alignment works for some people. For a lot of people, that doesn't work at all. It's not good for the knees. So you can bring the foot closer in if that feels better. And then sit on the chair forward enough so you keep the back straight. And then start to come forward. And inhale, coming up. We haven't done this in a while. If you've got a back of a chair you can hold on to, the sides of the chair, it feels really nice in the neck and shoulders. And just see how far you can come down today. Inhale up, exhale down. You might be ready to stay down and just stretch your hands on your hip. Just be careful. You don't want to force the hip open. So adjust the foot. You could also have the foot on the chair like this or underneath the hip like this. So my bench is a little short to show that today, but that is another option. If you've got a bed, you can also do this sitting on a bed and nice and cushioned for that lower foot if it's on the bed beside your thigh. Maybe you hug that leg. This is my easy side. When I go to the other side, it's always like, oh boy. So my other side is really, really different. So if you're experiencing that, just know the body is like that. This side is different. Exhale forward. Inhale up. So these hip opener movements are really working into that second chakra, the pubic area. In yoga therapy, we do these kinds of movements for women's health, including any aspect of women's gynecological health, having periods, having children, going through perimenopause, menopause, things like fibroids, cysts. We usually try to get into these positions. Maybe you can stay now See. One side might be different than the other, so just being aware of that. I usually do these deep hip openers after I do a more heated practice like we did today. So I'm nice and warm, especially my left side, my harder side. And when you're ready, coming out, just do a forward bend using the chair and your hip, your ribs forward on your thighs, and relax forward. Just rest here. Can do this with your legs straight. If you want to do a Paschimottanasana using the chair, with my particular chair, that is not going to work, but that might work with yours. And you can also bring the feet wide and get into the groin, even point the feet out and get into the inner thighs, groin. You can use blocks for this under the hands. It's not accessible. Nice way to release the lower back. And when you're ready, coming onto the floor, and get to rest now. Yeah, I'm going to use that chair later for our relaxation. I'm going to angle the camera down a bit more. We can, yes, there it is. All right. So finding comfort on the floor. Can you all see me okay? Sure, it's okay. All right. Let's try a little bit more this way. All right, just lying down and just start with windshield wipering your hips side to side. After staying in those hip openers. You might feel this in your hips, you might feel it in your upper back. And if you want to isolate the internal rotation, you can just bring one knee down and keep the other knee up. And if you want to take it deeper still, you might want to keep your legs on one side and bring your outer foot on top of the inner. You might want to be on a carpet doing this just to make it more comfortable, or a yoga mat. And just resting here. So we're stretching the hips now after all that strength work we did. Switch sides. You're ready. Inhale, center, exhale, other side. Go into your Ujjayi pranayama, constricting the throat. When you're ready, come to the center, cross one leg over the other. Inhale, center, exhale, side. Inhale, center, exhale, the other side. Don't worry about alignment at this time. We're just going to go side to side with a natural organic alignment. Might have some cracking into the lower back. Then we're going to switch sides. Just notice how that's different. All right, and now I'd like you to grab, or invite you to grab either a pillow or a soft block. And if you have your belt available, we might use that. We have time. I think we'll have time. Let's just have that available. So that soft block, if you can put it underneath the hips with the top edge no higher than your waist, you're gonna cross the other knee over than you just did and bring your legs towards you and maybe holding the outsides of the legs and getting into that piriformis area right here, loops into your lower back. And that in some people, having tightness there causes sciatica. So it is quite an important area to get into. And this is a simple way of doing pigeon pose. Some of you, if you want to do pigeon, you can do that now. Some people love pigeon pose. I like it when I'm really warm after doing cardio exercise. I often do those deeper stretches, not before. After today's class, we actually did quite a bit of hard work, so you might be ready for that. But this is a simple version. What I like about it is it doesn't force the knees into a rotation that's not natural for them. You can hold the feet, fan them out. You might like that better. Personally like just holding the legs, switching sides. And I've got the block underneath just to help you have a bit more range of motion in this pose. You can certainly do it with your hips on the ground. You can try that and see if it works better for your anatomy, your personal anatomy. Notice if this side is different than the other. Maybe one side likes a different holding of the legs than the other. You can just stay in the pose or move. Inhale away, exhale towards you. If you could just make sure you're muted. If you have unmuted for any reason, just if you could mute. And release that. And then stretching the legs, grabbing your belt. You can use a scarf, a towel, you could use a TerraBand. Bring your feet on that belt. And exhale, bring your feet towards you. Inhale, feet away, and just keep that going. I'm just going to make sure that we're all muted. Okay, we're all muted now. Good. And you can just stay in that position. You might be able to bring your toes a little bit closer to your nose. You could have that block underneath your hips if you want to round the lower back, or you can keep it long on the floor and just stretch the hamstrings more. So it depends on what you want to stretch. If you want to just work the hamstrings, keep the lower back on the floor. Otherwise, you can pop it off using a block or your own body. And when you're ready, move into your Shavasana relaxation. And because we have a chair here today, I just want to show you this version, which is quite lovely. Feel free to put something under your head if your neck needs some support. So put your legs on a chair, a bed, it's not too high, a couch, that often works better. And with your belt, really helpful to put it on the thighs. You can also put your legs up the wall if you know you like that. And just rest your lower back and hips. So if this is not comfortable, you can just lie flat on the floor, legs up the wall. You can also use, if you find you have internal rotation, your hips come together, you put a block, one of these blocks between your thighs. And I find people who've had car accidents, a lot of instability in the hips, this can be very, very soothing. And also if there's been trauma or some sort of big emotional thing that's gone on for a person, this can be very soothing for the nervous system as well. Just resting here. Letting the breath slow down. And just notice how you feel. As you lie here, can you feel both hips coming down evenly on the floor, or are you a bit rotated to one side? It's good to notice. If you do feel that, you could put a blanket folded in half under that side that you're rotated towards, just to even things out a bit. So that can happen, especially with scoliosis, that feeling that when you lie down, you're on one side of your body more than the other. I'll show that another day. Just resting here. Could put a weighted blanket on top of you. Heavy blanket of any sort. If you have a sandbag, you could put that on the belly. Or you could even put a block on top of the belly. It's another way to do nyasam. Hands on the belly or a block on the belly. And just observe the rise and fall of the belly as you feel the block move up and down. So And help us get out of chest breathing into belly breath. Can you feel the bottoms of the feet? Inhale, let. Exhale, go. Inhale, Om. Exhale, Namo. I was talking to my teacher Radha Sridhar the other day, and she said, Namo, Namaha, Namaste, all related to the idea of not me. Not me. So what exists when the little me is not there? What is left of you? Inhale, Om. Exhale, Namo. Or not me as a mantra. Ready, start to increase the length of your breath. The rise and fall of the belly as you inhale and exhale. Start to move your hands, feet, maybe stretching your arms overhead. And starting to release any of the props that you have. And rolling to one side. And that you can sit in your chair to close or sit on the floor, your choice. So you can always lie there a little longer if you just are not ready to move, that's always an option. Hands at the heart. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Namah. Om Namo Namah. Om Namo Namah. Harihi Om. Harihi Om. Harihi Om. Namaste. Namaskaram.